Buckminster Fuller used to say that when you light a match, you are releasing the sunlight that was stored in the leaves of trees. That when sunlight reaches the leaf of a tree, it penetrates that leaf and triggers a design embedded in the leaf called photosynthesis, through which the sunlight breaks apart the carbon dioxide and the water molecules in the leaf and causes them to be reformed, reshaped, redesigned into a new form. The complex sugars, C6H12O6 and O2, that's respired by the leaf. When I light the match, I reverse that process and I tear apart those complex carbohydrates and release the energy that was stored in the bonds between those atoms. And nature picks up those elements that have been so released and reforms them once again to form carbon dioxide and water. In an ocean of water, molecules are drawn together and into combinations in which they ultimately merge to form cells. And as they do, life is born, plant life, simple forms of life. And then those plant cells begin to draw themselves together over a long period of evolution where they too combine, one inside another, one simple cell evolving into the nucleus, another simple cell evolving into the cell body, and complex cells are born. And from these cells, animal life is born, consciousness. Life wakes up. Self-awareness begins. So, having awakened as a species ourselves about 500,000 years ago or so, we are born, knowing enough about the world around us, being able to sense enough that we are curious and confused and perhaps a little bit anxious about why we're here, what our purpose, if any, is, and where we're to go from here. We gather ourselves in this room and try to form our own unique combinations, our own unique alliances to find the path ahead that nature has set for us, the potential path. We are facing nature's next test. We are trying to add the next piece of the puzzle and perhaps rise to the next level of our own development as a species. We face today what might be one of the most fundamental challenges that we have ever faced as a species. Not just them. We think petroleum is the source of our wealth and our well-being, the source of our prosperity, the driver of our innovation, but it's not. That's why it's probably a good thing that the price of oil is so high. Oil is never so costly as when it's cheap. But it is a shame that we didn't take our opportunity a few years ago when we could have to take charge of the price of oil, so that instead of this huge transfer of capital from one part of the world to a few families, about 5 families that control most of the oil wealth, we could have distributed that wealth much more broadly. Our addiction to petroleum, our acceptance of the fiction that our prosperity depends on it, undermines innovation, props up old industries by slowing the growth of the information sector, of the knowledge sector, of the sector that uses intangibles to create value rather than consuming the tangibles of nature. How do we drive sustainable innovation? Through the activities of our organization, for example. Our organization is intended, our objective is to begin to get companies and people thinking less in terms of the Fortune 500, the old industrial economy, and more in terms of the future 500. To think in terms not of consumption, but of innovation. Not of dependence on petroleum, but reliance on information and design. To move from companies that exist in order to profit to companies that also profit in order to exist, that have a sense of purpose themselves. And to move from a command and control style of organization to a feedback and adaptation style. It's time for companies and stakeholders to come of age, to step past the old concept of the Fortune 500 and move to the new concept of the Future 500. Bill Coors, who is the brewer who chairs our seed initiative in the United States, said it very simply. He said, "This is the last century of petroleum, but it need not be the last century of prosperity. We have within us what we need to make this the first century in which we bring prosperity to the majority of humanity, to the 3 billion people who earn less than $3 a day, to the 1 billion who survive on less than $1 a day, now left out of affluence, but looking in through the window at us, wondering why. To offer those 3 billion a place inside, to engage with us, to learn in all directions. This is the highest calling of nature, and maybe also the deepest nature of business. For as our chairman Tachi Kiyuchi said, when he, as chairman of Mitsubishi, brought together his company with the Rainforest Action Network, he said, the mission of business, the mission of civilization, is to advance the human ecosystem in all our diversity and complexity. For the interests of business and the interests of the environment are not incompatible. They are the Japanese omote and ura, Chinese yin and yang, Christianity and Islam, product and process, design and matter, economy and ecology, mind and spirit, two halves. Only together can we make the world whole. Thank you very much.